over 7.5 million Americans every day. It is the seventh leading cause of death. It causes 6 deaths every minute, and 1 in 20 deaths in the world are due to this condition. Some of you may not know this answer, and I wouldn't have known either until a couple years ago when my dad became one of the 7.5 million Americans to be affected by this disease. This disease is sometimes referred to as a silent epidemic. It's diabetes. Most of you probably don't fully understand the full extent of this disease, but today I'm going to inform you about life with diabetes, effects, and treatments of diabetes. I personally do not have diabetes, but I got my close-up encounter when my dad became diagnosed with this disease. This not only affected my father, but in different ways affected me. How is a young girl supposed to react when she learns that the strongest man in her life now has to take insulin shots every day to stop from going into diabetic shock or even diabetic coma, which is, as Type3.com states, as a condition in which a person with diabetes lapses into a coma due to complications related to diabetes. Now imagine being 12 or 13 and knowing this could happen to your father. There are 2 different types of diabetes, Type 1 or juvenile diabetes, and Type 2 or adult onset diabetes. Today I am mainly going to talk about Type 2 diabetes. According to Health Check Systems, diabetes is a metabolic disorder that is characterized by high blood glucose and either not enough or insufficient insulin. Insulin is a hormone that is secreted by specialized cells in the pancreas in response to increased blood glucose concentrations. Many diabetics must take insulin in the form of shots to keep the body's glucose levels in a healthy range. Here is a chart I made to help us visualize the difference between normal glucose levels in the human body and diabetic levels of glucose. Our bodies have a certain range at which our glucose should usually remain at. This should usually be around 120 to 140, 2 to 3 hours after a meal. But sometimes when our own insulin becomes insufficient or ineffective, our glucose levels can go up. Diabetic levels can hit around 140 to upward to 300. When our glucose reaches over 140, it can become very dangerous for our health and even our lives. According to the authors of Effects of Diabetes, one of the biggest, most deadly effects of diabetes is heart disease. Heart disease can include many conditions, such as hardening of the arteries, heart attack, high blood pressure, and hypertension. These conditions are linked to diabetes because the conditions that cause diabetes can also cause heart disease. Other effects of diabetes are kidney failure, diminishing eyesight, and stroke. Fortunately, I'm not as familiar to these other effects as I am with another, nerve damage. Nerve damage is very serious, and almost half the people who have diabetes will have some form of nerve damage. Nerve damage can initially result in the tingling or even numbness of fingers or toes, and can eventually spread to other areas of the body. Again, Effects of Diabetes states nerve damage can be one of the most serious effects of diabetes because it can eventually make it difficult for people to feel when they become injured. This is especially true with the feet. My father suffered with nerve damage in his feet for most of his diagnosis of diabetes. The color of his feet are not the normal peachy color like yours and mine are. Instead, his feet are constantly a purple and bluish color and are usually numb. This is very dangerous, mainly because my dad could potentially injure one of his feet and he couldn't be able to tell when he had. When someone has diabetes, there is no such thing as a minor foot injury. That is because diabetes and wounds are a dangerous combination, and if not treated correctly, can lead to amputation. WebMD says that the rate of amputation for people with diabetes is 10 times higher than those who do not have the disease. So my dad must constantly wear shoes, not only to protect his feet, but also because his feet are always causing him pain. He also has to wear shoes to bed, and his shoes are not a regular everyday shoes. He buys special shoes that have extra sole in them so they cushion his feet more. Sometimes my father complains of his feet being very cold, when in actual reality they are hot to the touch, but he couldn't tell you the difference. Now imagine yourself not being able to tell the difference when your own feet are hot or cold. Although there is no cure for diabetes, there are different ways to control your diabetes, such as careful self-testing of blood glucose levels, education about you and your diabetes, everyday exercise, continuous foot care, refraining from smoking, meal planning, weight control, and most importantly, taking your medication or insulin for your diabetes. All of these need to be done for you to live a normal, healthy life with diabetes. Hopefully after today, everyone here can take some kind of better understanding about diabetes, whether it be the type of diabetes, life with diabetes, or even the treatment of diabetes. In conclusion, diabetes is a very serious disease and should not be taken lightly. Diabetes affects over more than 6% of the entire adult population, and going untreated can be life-threatening. Cost of treating uncontrolled diabetes can be around $215 to $375 billion. I don't know about all of you, but I personally do not have that kind of money. So please take care of yourself and your family. Become one of the fortunate not to have to deal with diabetes. Thank you.